Hi there, Christian Henson from Spitfire Audio here with a quick tip about how I construct additive music for computer games. And now additive music is a method of vertical layering of different stems, I guess, of music in order to increase or decrease intensity or reflect a change in circumstance for your character in the game, for example. Now, I think the common mistake that a lot of us fall into as media composers when doing additive music for the first time is to think of this as kind of mixed stems. They're not. They're very much musical layers, and it's something that's subtly different, which I'll point out in a minute. So when approaching additive music, I always consider four key kind of delivery criteria. The first is that it needs to loop soundly. So I always provide the sound department with something that is completely like you just loop from this bit to this bit, start of file to end of file. So what you'll see here is the section I've got highlighted in this cycle bar here is actually midway through this sequence. You'll also notice that I've got these tracks frozen. Basically in Logic, this bakes them into audio so that we're not basically re-triggering so the whole thing doesn't sound like it's starting all over again. So let's just run it from this loop point, and you can see that I can check the integrity of the loop. That's a kind of satisfying loop. Now, the thing that I would also do is provide a much, much longer piece, maybe even up to 10 minutes. And what you've heard there is something that is shaped, and I think this is absolutely crucial, that the thing that makes effective additive music is not to make it completely kind of flat and kind of at one level. I think it's safe to shape the thing throughout, and usually you tend to do it in that kind of shape. And what I would tend to do with something like this is it would be a much more gradual kind of thing. It would start with the drones, and then the ostinatos would come in very, very slowly, and the thing would build gently and then back again, so the whole thing loops. So shape is my second thought. If you suffer from anxiety, say for example I'm terrible with flying, I tend to find it's not a continuous thing, it comes in waves, and I think you should think of this kind of anxiety inducing music should come in waves. The next delivery consideration is how I'm going to stem it, and again, these aren't mixed stems, they're additive layers. Now, I've got this color coded in the way that I would stem it for mixing. So I've got the ostinato layer, I've got the drones, then I've got the percussion, which is interesting because I think one of the key things about these additive layers are you need to be able to listen to them all together, but you also need to be able to listen to them in any combination, including on their own. And the problem with this percussion layer is there's lots of gaps. So in this instance, what I would do is actually make this drone part of that layer. And you can see actually what I like about that layer is it has a very different characteristic to the sound of them all combined. So let's just color that accordingly. So I would actually say that this is layer one, the least kind of anxiety inducing layer. So for me, that is kind of like a scene setter. This is the place you're in. There's a kind of a pulse, there's a momentum, there's something slightly epic about it. Then I would add in this layer, the ostinato layer. This has a very kind of doing feel to it, almost procedural, but I wouldn't say it's fully kind of anxious. And then the third layer is the drone layer. But obviously they work in different combinations too. And I would say the drone layer, layer 3, is actually probably on its own the most anxious. But the final consideration I have, which is something that I discovered with Joe and Alexis when we worked together on Alien Isolation, was to put in little Easter eggs. Now, when we work to picture, maybe just on standard TV and film, you'll be surprised at how often a musical moment seems to synchronize just completely by chance with something that's on the screen. And that's no exception with computer games. Something tends to be always going on. So what I tend to do is put these little Easter egg moments within the track, and what that does is it gives a kind of prescience, a kind of a gravity to just the slightest kind of moment. So in this case, what I've done is put in this little piano scrape. Now, for sound departments of computer games companies, to put in a moment, a musical moment that doesn't have a fixed synchronization point may seem counterintuitive. But I think what we've found is that it added a greater depth and gravity to what was that. So even if nothing is going on screen, you get a feeling that you've kind of missed something behind you. Maybe it's an alien has just kind of gone past in the background. But even just the kind of most anodyne of moments can be marked and given greater gravity by putting these little Easter eggs in. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add that into the lowest layer. And all in all, I think that that moment makes that layer that much more interesting. Thanks as always for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. There's lots of exciting stuff coming up. And if you want notifications of when we put something up, hit the bell button. Hit like if you've liked this video, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.